Everybody wants me to talk about this. It's not legal related, but fine. I will address it. You itchy, buddy? Uh, Mr. Texan. I don't know him well enough to call him by his first name, but Mr. Texan seems to believe that it was a victory for the auditors at Leon Valley yesterday, and his reasoning is somewhat circular. Not a lot of auditors showed up, so the city of Leon Valley had to spend a lot of time, money, and resources to protect against auditors that didn't show up. So that was a victory for the auditors. I don't know entirely how that logic chain works, but to me it seems that if a bunch of auditors had shown up, that means that there would be public support, which I have been maintaining consistently doesn't exist. There is no strong public support for the auditors. It doesn't exist. It doesn't appear. There is strong public support for the police. There is not strong public support for auditors, primarily because there is a huge rash of asshats amongst us who want to behave inappropriately. They want to break the social contracts. They want to be rude to citizens and to police who aren't being rude back to them. I understand it, but it doesn't endear us to the public. Mr. Texan goes on to say that the police didn't generate revenue yesterday. They only got one person for jaywalking. The role of the police is to enforce the peace. It's to keep the peace. It's to catch criminals, keep the peace. It is not to generate revenue. I know all of you want desperately to believe that the role of police is to generate revenue, but the police don't generate revenue. Now, the typical argument goes, I've heard it from Damon Chief, I was chief for 5 months, Jones, that police are held to certain levels of performance in that, the typical officer issues X number of tickets a day. You're not. Why? There is bureaucracies like metrics. Bureaucracies love metrics. They can't be there with you 24/7. They send you out there in your little patrol car to do your gig. And what they want to be sure of is that you're actually going out there, interacting with people, enforcing the laws, keeping the peace. Now, what metric can they use to determine whether you're doing that? And one of the metrics that they apparently use, and I'm assuming this varies county by county, state by state, city by city, all over. But one of the metrics that apparently they use is the number of tickets or citations or warnings or reports that you write. And I guess I could understand that. That seems reasonable. Sure. Are they worried that you're not writing these things because you're not generating revenue? No. They're worried you're not writing these things because you're not working. You're not actually out there doing the job that they're paying you, the $80-ish thousand a year or however much they're paying you. So because they use metrics, small-minded people believe that somehow the goal of the city is to make money through the police. And there you go. But it's not. The city of Leon Valley loses a lot of money by having police, but police are important. Police are necessary. You can't get around there being always will be a segment of the population who's willing to ignore laws and break them and violate people's life, liberty, and property, as Mr. Freeman would like to say. And you need police. You just need police. And if you don't enforce traffic laws, then people will start to ignore speed limits, and they'll speed, and that increases the risks of accident and harm to people's lives, liberties, and properties. So long story short, claiming a victory because the city of Leon Valley spent a lot of money to protect against a protest that didn't materialize is again silly, because who pays for the police in Leon Valley? The citizens do. Probably primarily, I'm sure they get federal grants and things like that, but it's probably primarily funded by the citizens of Leon Valley, who may not really appreciate you wasting valuable police resources on nonsense. Again, public perception, and you're failing. And as to them getting aid from outside sources that wasn't needed, again, the role of the police is to keep the peace. You're asserting that there were no breaches of the peace means that the police did exactly what they were supposed to do. And the people of the city aren't going to get tired of the chief of police spending resources to prevent the materialization of breaches of the peace. And if further protests continue, I'm sure the police will. There was a huge buildup for this one. There was a lot of chatter on YouTube over it. There were YouTube videos by the once sensible and no longer so News Now Houston advising people to bring firearms there, and by James Freeman painting the police of Leon Valley as just irrational, insane murderers. I'm sure that the citizens of Leon Valley are going to be happy with the results, happy with the chief of police, and certainly no more amenable to the position of the auditors than they have been all along. You still got a very small turnout of locals, and you're always going to, in a city of 11,000 people, you're going to find somebody who believes whatever nonsense you're peddling. So I can't say, oh, you won't find anybody, but yeah, you found about as many people as I expected. It is a small fringe minority. You are a small fringe minority. I am a small fringe minority. It was not a victory by any metric. It was a terrible loss for the auditor community. They were ridiculous and retarded to try to push it, especially when all their stars, and I'm using huge air quotes around that, wouldn't and or couldn't make it. It was bad strategy, bad planning. It was just a net loss all the way around. If Chief Damon Jones is your draw, you have lost. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.